Neil Shubin, some assembly required, decoding 4 billion years of life, from ancient fossils to DNA. Dive into the captivating world of evolution with Neil Shubin's Some Assembly Required, Decoding 4 Billion Years of Life, from Ancient Fossils to DNA. Journey through the profound depths of life's history, explore the progression of plants and animals, and discover the intricate relationships between different species. Learn how evolution advances by repurposing old traits instead of developing new ones, and see how species adapt and thrive. By delving into the discoveries of groundbreaking scientists, you'll understand how embryos reveal the secret to change, examine the vital role of DNA and mutations in evolution, and realize how our own genomes tell a captivating story of survival and adaptation.
Repurposing organs in evolution. The book delves into the question of how a fish could have grown legs and begun walking on land, the obsession of paleontologists for generations. The author argues that plants and animals don't change by developing new traits, but rather repurpose old ones. The key takeaway is that nothing begins ere you think it does. The book explains how evolution repurposed swim bladders as lungs and how this alters the way we see the history of life. The genes that build swim bladders are the same as those that build lungs. Fish were breathing air long before they stepped out of the water. The evolutionary role of embryos. Scientists believed for years that understanding the developmental transitions of embryos could unlock the secret to species differences. Dumerel's discovery of the two salamander species sparked a breakthrough in evolutionary research, showing that embryonic development hinged on environmental factors. This realization led to the identification of the ancestor of all vertebrates, the sea squirt, which kept juvenile features into adulthood. The study of embryos offers insight into individual and species evolution. Tiny malfunctions, big consequences. DNA switches play a crucial role in the evolution and differences between species. Have you ever considered the possibility that you share some DNA with a sea squirt? It turns out that over the 4 billion year history of life, DNA has been passed down from ancestral species to descendant species. While the genome is responsible for the order of DNA and is unique to each animal, switches control how they work. Any malfunction in these switches can lead to significant consequences. Scientists have discovered that studying the differences in genomes between species can reveal more about the relationships between them than looking at fossils. The differences in switches have been found to be a driving force behind every significant shift in the evolution of animal bodies. They are responsible for the development of everything from limbs to wings and can influence the consequences of conditions like sickle cell anemia. Even though humans share DNA with sea squirts, what sets us apart is not our genetic material but the switches that control how our genes function. The process of switch creation starts during embryonic development and continues throughout adulthood. Any irregularity in this process can lead to dire consequences, but it can also bring about changes that drive evolution. In summary, this book reveals the importance of switches in the genome. They act as instructions for the creation of different body parts and regulate the function of our genetic material. Any malfunction in the switches can have severe consequences but can also be a driving force behind evolutionary change. Mutations and Evolution. Darwin believed that individual variation, or mutation, was the fuel for natural selection which led to evolution. Mutation is simply a trait that differs from the norm, and if it helps with success, it will be passed down to the next generation. The mutation of genes has led to extraordinary evolutionary change. Scientists have studied mutations in fruit flies and discovered that the position of genes on the DNA chromosome mirrors the structure of the body. This sparked a major discovery that animals, including humans, have the same top-down, body-building gene sequence on their chromosomes. The same genes trigger the growth of limbs in various animals, and they don't just lie dormant in fish but cause the development of the bones and the fins. By studying mutants, we can gain insights into genetic information's transmission and evolution's occurrence. The active human genome. The human genome is a complex and active place where copying, mutating, jumping, and hunting are elemental parts of its components. We assume that our genome is an orderly and elegant machine, but it's constantly at war with itself. Despite this, animal complexity has nothing to do with the amount of its genetic material, as much of animal DNA is junk. However, active genes are working hard in our genome, jumping and duplicating themselves wherever they land. The jumping genes are beneficial to the genome and species, accounting for about 70% of our genome. Normal DNA segments have also developed a defensive mechanism to weigh these genes down, stopping them from jumping to another location. The surprising consistency of evolution. The history of life on Earth is far from arbitrary. The emergence of oxygen-producing microbes and the formation of bodies are significant events that have led to the development of all animal life. Scientists have long believed that tiny discrepancies could have altered everything, but it turns out that certain outcomes are inevitable. For instance, the evolution of a projectile tongue in salamanders happened independently multiple times, suggesting that limited solutions are available to solve biological problems. These solutions are influenced by genes, physical constraints, and history. The arrival of remarkable inventions like flying and projectile tongues is anything but random, proving that the dice of evolution are loaded.
As you walk away from Some Assembly Required, you'll be armed with newfound knowledge on the intriguing secrets behind evolution and the interconnectedness of life on Earth. Realize the impact of repurposing ancient traits in the development of new features, how genetic switches control the way our genes perform, and how mutations have shaped the remarkable species around us. Marvel at the astonishing intricacies of the human genome and how even junk DNA holds a purpose. This enlightening journey through billions of years of life will completely reshape your understanding and appreciation for the history, complexity, and adaptability of life and evolution.